Raaheeb will be fourth.
You could be
Gonna
right.
one up you, Paddy. Gonna one
There's
up
the
you.
money. There's the money. Get on for another hour.
You need to be more
lads.
ruthless, Jade. You need to be more
You
ruthless.
just wait until it's Galway week and you have to try and figure out which one I'm picking for that. In time, when we're all old and grey and global warming's really taking its hit and we're all burning up like the Sahara, we can all congregate at the Curragh, where it will rain, inevitably. Hello and welcome back to Inside Track Ireland, your Irish racing podcast brought to you by William Hill. It is warm, we are melting, it is Irish Derby weekend, there is much to discuss. We have just recovered from Royal Ascot, we've taken off the top hats and tails, but this weekend we may well need an umbrella. I'm going to go through all of this with Emmett McNamara and Paddy Flood. I'm in good company, guys. We have much to digest. Emmett, you looking forward to it?
Very much so, yeah. As you said, Jane, off the back of a week in Ascot there where you had the tough task of hanging out with Frankie Foster Tuesday through Saturday.
I know you were jealous of that, I know.
I'm sure every woman on the planet and increasingly every man on the planet has would have loved to be Jane Mangan last week, but I was there myself for a day or two and quite enjoyed it, I must say. But on to this weekend and Irish Derby. Can't wait.
I laugh at what you said about Frankie Foster because the amount of like older ladies in particular who would come up and say, Frankie, my son is a big fan. Can I get a picture? And me and Rosie Turner are looking at each other being like, yeah, your son is a fan. All right. Paddy, how did you find Ascot and how do we find you this afternoon?
You find me very well, Jane. Very warm, but very well. These thunderstorms haven't broken in Waterford yet, so we're still sweating buckets. But yeah, looking forward to the Curragh kicking off this evening. Good cars, but a tough act to follow after Ascot, to be fair.
Absolutely. I think when those thunderstorms, if they do materialize, everybody in Ireland is just going to go out and embrace the rain. Let's just remember this when we're shivering in November. Anyway, on today's show, we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to review Ascot and all of the highlights and maybe the lowlights. We're going to preview the big races this weekend at the Curragh. We've got Alex Dunn joining us from the trading room in William Hill later on to talk about our naps, our each ways and different selections. And we're going to have our usual quickfire round along with our mystery horse, where the guys will get 10 questions to guess a horse that has been given to me this time. I haven't picked the horse this time. The listeners have given me a horse to pick and we'll go along with that. But before we do, I was at Ascot and I met you there for a day or two. Paddy, you were at home watching the coverage. What did you think of Royal Ascot 2026?
I really enjoyed Ascot. I came away from it thinking, Jesus, why didn't I go there this year? Because I had it in the back of my head to go and I didn't bother. And I will definitely be going next year. I'm putting a marker down and say, listen, I'm going to book it. I'm going to go. The buzz there seems class. Listen, the TV coverage parts of it I do have to turn off, and turn it on mute because it melts my brain. But other than that, I think it looks a great meeting.
I can't not ask you, number one, what part of the TV coverage do you not like? Because we are there. I didn't see any coverage other than the bits that I was involved in myself. What in particular would you change?
Well, I suppose it suits some people, but going down looking at dresses and flowers and crack, like making drinks and crack like that, like.
But you're a die-hard racing man, so that doesn't appeal to you.
That doesn't appeal to me, but also the tone was a little bit starting to feel a little bit like Cheltenham to me from the presenters. I think Jason Weaver is very good on ITV, but the others I find very mundane, very boring.
Okay. Emmett Mac, you were there. You have both up. You've seen the coverage. You were there. You experienced both. Tell me about your experience.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed being there. We actually went, we had tickets to the Royal Enclosure for the Wednesday. So we went down there a little quiet if I was to say anything about it. We kind of found ourselves going up to I suppose the rest of the crowd and where maybe the crack was at fairly shortly after arriving. So maybe the Royal Enclosure isn't for everyone. Certainly maybe it wasn't for us. But I can see the attraction of it. Once we got up there, the buzz was unbelievable. You just see everyone from all walks of life. Paddy wasn't there, but I think every other jump jockey that was or is or has been was there as well, taking a bit of time out during the quiet time for them to be there. So you've it's a real melting pot of people. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The bits I saw at home on ITV, I must say I'd probably disagree with Paddy in that I quite enjoyed it. I would probably agree with him in that I tend to walk out and make cups of tea when people are talking about maybe making drinks or that. But then at the same time, Elaine tends to walk into the room and sit down and watch it, and walks out when the racing is going on at times. So there's something there for everyone. I suppose most race meetings don't necessarily offer that. So I can understand why they're leaning on that a small bit, especially with the ITV coverage, possibly trying to bring in a different type of crowd. But look, if it's not for you, Paddy, you can make tea during that couple of minutes, take a well-deserved break.
Unfortunately, there's a bunch of networks there that are just diehard racing coverage. So if you don't like the ITV coverage, you can switch. But I always love when people come up to me and they might give you a compliment, they might give you criticism on your own work, but they'll always say they like somebody else. You know, they might like Ruby's segment, or they like Adele Mulrennan in the ring, or they might like Ed Chamberlain's presenting, or Francesca's ring side horse selection. So it's funny. Everybody's got different tastes, and I've long stopped trying to please everybody, especially in our job.
I will just say there was a clip went up during the week from ITV of just what goes on in the truck when those videos are being clipped up, and there was a lady there, I can't remember her name, but Jesus, she was like fastest finger first on that thing, clipping things up for Ruby. That was pretty cool, I must say. And whatever about the punditry, which again I like, but I think the camera shots in Royal Ascot, they've really made an effort to get it from all kinds of different angles, and some of those close-up shots of the top jockeys pushing horses out up the straight, like some of the videos of Ryan Moore during the week were unbelievable, especially against Buick and the likes, I suppose, in a couple of tight finishes. So no, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought on course Ascot did a great job with their production. They have spared no coin, and it pays off because, of course, it's viewed all around the world. Actually, I would ask you, Paddy, what would you think in this instance, had they had the warm spell this week, had that happened during Royal Ascot, what would they have done if they had the red warning during Ascot?
Oh Jesus, I don't know, Jane. Like you'd think them sprinters would be okay. You know, they're not running that far, but 2.5 miles in a red sort of warning and heat, that'd be a head scratcher now. You know, would they have to have changed the day for it, or I can vaguely remember, maybe I'm wrong. Did Aintree stop the bumper one year running with the heat in April? I'm nearly sure they did, but listen,
I wonder,
it didn't happen.
Could they have changed it to an evening meeting? Is that going to interrupt Whirlpool and our
I
international
suppose
viewers?
it interrupts everything, you know, interrupts TV coverages. I don't know, there probably wasn't a whole lot of soccer on with the World Cup wasn't kicked off, or was it kicked off? It was actually,
It
yes. You had
was,
World Cup
yeah. There
kicking
was
off as
plenty of
well.
that chat
So,
as well.
Jesus, weren't they blessed? And then I suppose with ground concerns as well, the weather was really perfect for them. But then you have the rest of the whingers who are not happy with one piece of ground, but they want the other piece of ground to be the very same as that piece of ground, you know.
Let the whingers whinge, but
Yeah,
there was a draw bias, so I'm going to
there
whinge.
was. There always is,
Yeah,
Jane.
there always is. Highlight of the week, Emmett?
Ombudsman, I think possibly.
Now officially rated the highest middle distance horse in the world. I don't know, is he higher than Kayyum Rising?
He is.
Don't know that.
He is, yeah.
I think he is, yeah. That's a debate we'll save for another day. Okay, Ombudsman, Paddy?
For a lot of good riding performances. Probably the highlight was for me was James McDonald. People kind of realizing how good he actually is. You know, I was in Australia and I've seen the Aussie riders. They're brilliant riders, and just for him to produce it on the big days, on the second string per se, it probably wasn't second string. You know, they're all good horses, wetlands. But yeah, I think James McDonald's performance and overall riding was you know, we had probably one talking race, but the rest of it was top class.
Yeah, and it was really tight. I loved, even off the bend there,
Yeah.
you can really see the difference between competition and real competition. So that was our brief look back at Royal Ascot. Let's look ahead to our championship racing this weekend in Ireland, and it is, of course, highlighted by the Irish Derby and the Pretty Polly Stakes. Before we do, if you haven't already downloaded the William Hill app, please do hop across to the App Store and you will be kept up to date with all of the things happening through William Hill throughout the week and beyond. So let's kick into it, guys. Let's start with the Pretty Polly Stakes. No filly since Minding 10 years ago. Minding 10 years ago isn't that long ago. Has done the Epsom Oaks Pretty Polly Stakes double. Minding was exceptional. Emmett thundering on looked exceptional. Can she beat the older fillies here?
Possibly so. I suppose Legacy Link, who was second that day, and Epsom let the form down subsequently in Ascot, but probably reasons for her poor performance on that day. Difficult to know what to make of the Oaks form. This will certainly put it to the test. A Strange will provide probably what is stern enough competition as regards older fillies. But is she a real top notcher? Probably not over a mile and a quarter. She could be better over a mile and a half, and certainly with a little more juice in the ground. So she may not have to be minding to go and win Thundering On, but she was very impressive in Epsom and obviously retains the potential to be real top class filly. It was good that day. So we'll find out the weekend.
We will. Paddy, I thought she looked like a 10 furlong filly who just got a mile and a half at Epsom. She just looked next level, didn't she?
She did. I thought she got an exceptionally good ride. They didn't just put her asleep there for probably 3/4 of the race, and the race, I suppose, the ground in Epsom was a big factor, and they kind of spread out like the sea, and she got a beautiful run into it. I suppose it was kind of a race that every jockey dreams of riding. Everything just went perfect, and he never had to spend any petrol anywhere. So I'd worry about if her, like, Strange is fair form there with Minnie Hawk going back a couple of runs ago, and I'm not sure Thundering On at 5 to 6 makes any appeal to me now. I hope she's a superstar, but she's very, very short.
She is, but I can see why she is, and she's getting
You can see
£12
what, yeah.
from the olders.
She is. Look, she's a Frankel filly, and she looks like the world is her oyster. And to be fair to her, the best part of her race in Epsom was that last furlong. She literally blew them apart. You looked at her on the bridle thinking, is he just holding on to her? But she actually quickened up to the line, and her times were very good.
So who do you think is going to give her the most to think about? Is it a Strange or is it one of the 3-year-olds?
I think a Strange is probably the most obvious that will give her the most work to do.
I thought Venetian Lace was of interest, Emma. She was placed in a Guineas. We forget that. She's totally different conditions.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you can forgive her run the last day in Epsom where she looked to clearly not handle the ground, she's beat a long way out. I think there's an argument to be made that a mile and a quarter could be her sweet spot. Obviously, having tried a mile earlier in the year and a mile and a half the last day. Nice ground. Jason Hart knows her well. Charlie Johnson is well able to prepare one. And I think at what will probably be likely prices, she could represent each way value if you're of a forgiving nature and prepared to forget about her run the last day. I mean, she had the form as a 2-year-old as well, placing the fillies mile as well. So I don't think the Guineas run was a fluke. I think it's probably a true reflection of her ability. And if she can show that again, I think in a race that lacks probably a little bit of depth, I think there's a lot of really strong Group 2 fillies. But Thundering On is probably the only one, along with a Strange to a point, I'd suppose, who looks of real Group 1 ability.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's more depth than maybe we're giving it credit for. I think Killing Queen's like 40 to 1 at the moment. Maybe, yeah, she's come up short, but she still beat Sunley in a Group 2 at Longchamp last year. And don't forget Red Letter. Didn't she beat Barnavara in a Group 3 at the Curragh last year as well?
And one looked the same as well. They all have Group 1 type form, but I suppose they've been placed in Group 1s. There's not a multiple Group 1 winner in it. I just don't know if they're huge strength and depth. I don't think you'll have to be a worldly. I don't think you'll have to be a minding to go and win it.
Okay, so we're not investing, but we're all on Thundering On.
I think so, yeah. And Venetian Lace each way.
For Emma. Okay. And the race before that is the Airlie Stud Stakes. I think this is worth a conversation. It's a Group 2 for 2-year-old fillies over 6 furlongs. Really surprising to me, Paddy, how many of these are backing up from Royal Ascot. Velosi, Sun Goddess second in the Albany, Controlla, disappointing in the Windsor Castle, taking on some more fresh fillies like Belle of the Ball, who was so good at Cork. And she's the outsider of the whole field. I saw Maggie Walker win at Cork on soft ground. She was very impressive that day as well.
Yeah, when I was looking at the race, I was kind of going, Jesus, is it that quick, of a backup? And it is really, really quick. Like Velosi, she's having her 5th run now as a 2-year-old. Like, that's a hell of a lot of runs. And she's been traveling too, she's Paddy Toomey's not missing her. Sun Goddess looks really, really bulletproof though, doesn't she? A really solid run last week in Epsom, brings a high level of form into the race. And listen, I'd say she's definitely a Group 1 filly down the road. So I'd say I'd be expecting her to come, and she'd probably the solidest favourite of the day if you want.
Okay, very strong vote for the favourite there, Emmett.
Yeah, look, I think if Sun Goddess turns up in the same form as she was when she won her maiden in the Curragh, or indeed in Ascot last week where she ran so well in the Albany, I think she'd take an awful lot of beating. Outside of her, though, I think it's very difficult to rule anything out, to be honest. If she was to underperform, I think you're looking at 7 other fillies there who've all, either won their maidens or in Controla's case ran very well at group level on her first run. I think it's very difficult to know which one of those brings the best level of form to the race. And I would like to ride Sun Goddess in it. I think she's the best filly. But for me, outside of that, it could be a really, really competitive race for second. And if she was to underperform, I wouldn't like to put any of them forward with confidence.
It's a big ask, isn't it, to turn around so quickly, especially in this heat. 2-year-olds,
Absolutely.
fillies, I'd nearly
Yeah,
take her on.
and Confucius doing the same in the Anglesey as well in the race previous to that as well. There's a few 2-year-olds
That's
backing
a
up.
good point, actually. You might just watch Confucius before you invest in the other one. But yeah, it's very interesting that the trainers, not more than one of them even, are willing to turn them around so fast. Speaking of turning around fast, feels like Epsom was only the other day, but it's actually 22 days ago when we record. Aidan O'Brien fields half of the field for the Irish Derby. He's got Benvenuto Cellini currently favourite. Christmas Day bidding to go back-to-back Epsom. And the Curragh, he's got Pierre Bonnard on action. Bagnola Bay brings UK form to the table. He brings Gorham Park form to the table. And the very, very interesting Raaheeb. Emmett, I'll let you kick this one off. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, look, I suppose a decent field assembled for each way players. I suppose nice that the dead 8 are declared. Aidan running 4 that all ran in the Derby. Obviously, completely different conditions. Going a mile and a half on what is going to be way quicker ground the weekend, and obviously the Curragh is far more conventional track than Epsom as well. Benvenuto Cellini, I think once the heavens opened, yeah, you were worried your chances were gone in Epsom. He didn't handle it in Futurity last year, and he clearly didn't handle it in Epsom again this time around.
Is it fair to
Having
say, regardless of what happened in the gates, he wasn't on his A game anyway?
No, he wasn't at the races, and Pierre Bonnard never got into it either. It's very easy to say that those on the front end got a freebie, but I thought they went a decent enough gallop, and I didn't think there was a whole pile of a fluke about Christmas Day's performance, to be honest. He obviously handled conditions particularly well, but he's a legitimate horse. He wins plenty of races. He went off favourite for the Dante and just got beaten, or was got beaten that, but was favoured for it. And if there's any bit of kindness in the ground after a couple of rainy days, possibly in the Curragh in between all the sun, he's not out of it at all, and he could end up going off a far bigger price than he deserves to, just because Ryan Moore is not on him. And a lot of the time we presume this is a clear-cut choice, but we've seen it several times this year. It's not an easy call between what Ryan rides and what else is in the race for Aidan.
Aidan's won 12 Epsom Derbies, 9 different jockeys. We can get that into our head now. Just one observation. In time, when we're all old and grey and global warming's really taking its hit and we're all like burning up like the Sahara, we can all congregate at the Curragh where it will rain inevitably.
The cursed Curragh.
I really feel for them. We've had such a glorious period. And I'm looking at the forecast thinking, I'm going to wear a really nice summer dress and I'm going to bring my coat. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't materialize and hopefully we have a lovely weekend. Question for you, Paddy. What will Ross Ryan do from stall 3 in an 8-runner Irish Derby?
I suppose he'll have to go forward, to be honest. If I was him now, I'd be giving him a bit of a squeeze out the gate. Make sure the horses that are there to put pace into it do put pace into it. And I'd rather be in 3 and try and control from, say, 2nd or 3rd place than being stuck in behind and being dictated to by 4 or 5 of Aidan's. He'd probably do a complete opposite.
So basically, don't allow what happened in the Prix de Jockey Club happen at the Curragh.
Exactly. Give them a squeeze out the gate and make sure they have to make a race of it, and it's not just a follow the leader sort of job. Now, I thought what they did in France was a brilliant bit of riding. Now, there was 3 very, very good jockeys that got it absolutely spot on. That doesn't happen too many times, Usually, if one of them misses the kick, that whole thing gets thrown up in the air. But listen, if I was coming out 3 myself, I'd give him a squeeze, make sure the pace was on, and try and slot in behind 2 then.
It's a difficult one for us, though, don't you think, Jane, to just say get out and get stuck in the middle of 3 or 4 Ballydoyle ones as well, too. You're also running the risk then of setting it up for something like a James J. Braddock to come and not nab you after doing the donkey work. It's difficult for the opposing jockeys to take on the might of Ballydoyle in that context, I always think.
Well, it's difficult because you're going in there not knowing what they're going to do, and you're going to have to ride your own horse. So I think Paddy's right if he gets out in the first half of the field, and if two of them go a million miles an hour in front, he's in the position to let them go.
Use
Whereas
them as his pacemaker.
if he's sitting 7th of 8 and they go slow, he's in a compromised position from the start. But it'll be fascinating to watch how he rides that horse. And my other wonder is James J. Braddock, you rode in the race, Emmett. The preliminaries at Epsom are well, we discussed them at length, and it's been well documented that he misbehaved before the race. It's a long way to go from the parade ring at the Curragh across the Curragh to the 1.5 mile start. Do you think he'll behave? And if he does, how much better could he be?
Yeah, I'd say a lot better, to be honest. Obviously, still pretty unexposed horse. I don't ever remember him in any of his runs previous to Epsom getting overly excited, and he has obviously been to the Curragh as well. He won his maiden there. Didn't seem to have any major difficulty from memory in Leopardstown either. Maybe he just got a little coldish on the day. Obviously, Epsom, there can be a bit of atmosphere there. Now, having said that, it was a wet day. They didn't get the crowds they expected to, so it was probably a little bit of a surprise to see him getting as revved as he did. You'd be hoping, though, with the knowledge of what went on in Epsom, that Joseph and his team are going to, find some way of keeping him chilled, whether that's a red hood or a pair of earplugs or something like that. You can be sure they'll be working on that. And Dylan will be conscious of it as well, to get him down to the start nice and relaxed as he can. And he's certainly not out of it. He ran a fine race in Epsom and showed an ability to handle nicer ground in Leopardstown as well when he won the Derby trial there as well. So he's a very, very likeable horse and a really interesting competitor in this race.
He is. Okay, so I'm gonna put you under a little bit of pressure now. No after timing here. We'll just own our decisions. Paddy, give me your trifecta. Give me your 1, 2, 3.
Ooh. Raaheeb, Benvenuto Cellini, and Christmas Day.
I like it. Okay. Owen Burrows, big day for him.
Yeah, I think this horse is very unexposed, and he looks a very, very straightforward horse. Beautifully bred, colt. So, listen, the world's his oyster. I'm not as quick to forgive Benvenuto Cellini the run in Epsom. I know the ground was terrible, but he never raised the gallop, and I do wonder, is he a good horse to be kind of his name suggests?
Okay. Emmett Mack, over to you.
Christmas Day,
Go back
Benvenuto
to back.
Cellini.
Well done.
Christmas Day, Benvenuto Cellini, and toss up between James J and Raaheeb. I'm going to side with James J.
Okay, so you're going to say Aidan 1, 2, Joseph to bring up the third.
Raaheeb will be fourth.
You could be
Gonna
right.
one up you, Paddy. Gonna one
There's
up
the money.
you.
There's the money. Get on.
Well, if you haven't got the money in the Irish Derby, well, maybe we can get the money beforehand in the international stakes, because that's a very interesting race as well. That's a Group 3 contest, and it's meant to be off at 3:20. So William Haggis sends over Crown of Oaks. Jury on is in it. Hot as Hell, the former Group 1 winning 2-year-old. Isaac Newton, who nailed the pair of them at Navan last time. I think Purview is all class from what we saw of him the last day. I'm going to give you first stab at this, Emmett. Can Purview take this extra step forward towards top level, or is he vulnerable?
I hope he can, because I was really impressed with him in the Arby back on Guineas weekend. That was over 1.5 miles back to 1.25 miles here, obviously, but he didn't look devoid of pace on the day. Trust your instinct, ran well that day. He's back in opposition again. You can kind of set your clock by him around the Curragh. If there is a horse in here with potential star potential, though, I do think it is Purview, and I hope he can continue to step up through the grades. Hot as Hell, of course, a Group 1 winner, is a 2-year-old, but I was a little bit disappointed with the attitude possibly that he showed the last day in Navan. Looked like he came there to win and ran around a little bit and hasn't
Big
just
pieces
stepped up.
go on, you're right.
Yeah.
So they're thinking the same.
They had to try and do something, because he wasn't straightforward the last day. Isaac Newton showed a good turn of foot from the back of the field, but on balance, I don't know that he's probably good enough to win. So I'm hoping to see a good performance from Purview. I was certainly very impressed with him the last time I saw him, and I'm hoping he can find that improvement again and end up in some nice races at the back end.
Interesting. Over to you, Paddy.
Yeah, I totally agree. I tend to, go with your first feeling, your gut in your eye, and what I saw the last day in the Curragh, I straight away thought that's a Group 1 horse in a listed race. That might be a little bit of overreaction, but look, he's Group 3 now. Very rarely do you see a horse over a mile and a quarter last day with that turn of foot late. And it wasn't like the race went perfect for him either. He wasn't in a great spot, when they were starting to quicken, and Colin had so much horse, he was able to just, it was like driving a Ferrari down the M50 there. He could go really light on him, pick which lane he wanted. So I'd love to see Dermot Weld with another star. He's probably at the latter end of his career now, and probably in the news for the wrong reasons the last couple of months. But this horse could, put him back in the headlines for the right reasons.
Purview gets a very strong vote from the podcast. So that's the wrap of the highlights of the weekend, the big races of the weekend. If you're getting involved, best of luck. Okay, boys, are you ready for our quickfire round? Don't overthink. Answer a few questions. Bob's your uncle. Emmett, you're up first.
Yeah.
Let's go.
The horse you're most excited to see this weekend?
Thundering On.
Biggest danger to the favourite in both Group 1 races?
Hopefully Venetian Lace and Christmas Day.
Interesting, okay. One horse we're getting completely wrong.
I hate this question every week. I'm gonna go against Benvenuto Cellini.
So we're getting him wrong?
Well, I don't know. I think the market could be getting him wrong.
Okay.
Is that fair to say?
Maybe he's not as good as...
Who is they?
Who are they? They. A horse that you'd love to ride this weekend?
The winner of the Derby. Christmas Day.
Christmas Day? I thought you were going to say Thundering. Okay. The most likely to flop?
Either of Confucius or Sun Goddess. Both coming back quickly from Ascot.
Good shout. And your prediction for the weekend? It can be anything. It can be a horse. It can be the weather. It can be your betting. It can be anything.
Well, if it can be the weather, it has to be rain in the middle of a heat wave, the Curragh.
All right, Paddy, you've had the benefit of Emmett's answers. You're up next. The horse you're most excited to see this weekend?
Abraham Lincoln.
Oof. Right. 2-year-old. Here we are. The biggest danger to the favourite in both Group 1 races?
Estranged and Raaheeb.
The horse that we're getting wrong?
Benvenuto Cellini is not as good as we think he is.
2 votes against Benvenuto Cellini. Okay. The horse you'd like to ride this weekend?
Sun Goddess.
2-year-old filly in the Airlie Stud Stakes. And the horse is most likely to flop?
Benvenuto Cellini.
I look forward to when this horse bolts up in the Irish Derby.
So everyone going back Benvenuto Cellini.
What's your prediction for the weekend, Paddy?
Joseph to train more winners than Aidan.
Oh, great shout. Possible. 5 winners at Royal Ascot. Okay, it's time for us to bring in Alex Dunn from the trading room to give us some odds on our selections for the weekend and tell us what's happening. Alex, how do we find you on this Friday afternoon?
Not bad. I like some of those shouts as well. Joseph to train more winners than Aidan. I'll see if we can get something priced up on that. By the way, Abraham Lincoln, I've literally just got a message from one of the traders. Abraham Lincoln already 20s from 25s as we speak for next year's 2,000 guineas.
Someone listening to me. Somebody listening to me. We're tapped.
Solid support all morning. So, clearly good things expected.
I'd say that's producer Paddy, just after listening to Paddy Flood. Just got straight onto the classic markets. Okay, so Alex, who's the most backed horse this weekend?
The best back horse up to now has to be in the... it is a Joseph O'Brien horse. Unsurprisingly, and very well supported off the back of that phenomenal performance over at Epsom. Thundering On was weak early, but now she's declared. She's been very, very strongly supported. I think there were a few concerns about whether she would be declared, but she has been, and now very, very strong indeed.
I really admire the ambition, dropping back on trip. Do It Minding did. We could see prolific summer for her if her campaign stays on track. Who's the biggest market mover this weekend?
The trickiest one. Well, we'll get to the trickiest one in a second, but it all hinges on Benvenuto Cellini, and this one was backed earlier, but so weak now. And going on what you guys have been saying as well, has there ever been a horse at 11-8 that nobody wants to back? Because that seems to be the gist right now with Benvenuto Cellini. Had been backed and now really weak. So in terms of liability-wise, yeah, people had backed Benvenuto Cellini. I'm fascinated to see what happens in the next 24 hours, because will they come again for the horse? I'm not sure, but I was thinking the same things that you guys were saying, really, that I want to try and take him on.
Okay, interesting. I wonder when we get to Derby Day and Aidan's after having 3 winners on the first day with Ryan Moore in the plate, that they'll just back him off the boards blind. What are you most nervous about? Which is your biggest liability for the weekend?
Probably is Benvenuto Cellini, to be honest with you. Everything hinges on him. Aidan O'Brien's record in all Group 1s is phenomenal, particularly over at the Curragh, but the way that you can see this playing out is that Benvenuto Cellini wins. And as you mentioned, if Aidan has a fantastic day, then it could be a pretty dangerous one. So I guess we're hoping that Joseph spoils the party with 1 or 2 of them anyway.
Okay. Well, I'll hand it over to Emmett. So for your selections, Emmett, are you spoiling the party or are you dancing around the room with the party?
I don't know, but I am going to go for our 2 fillies. They were both disappointing on their last runs, which seems like madness, but hear my logic. Filly called Aviatrice in the fillies handicap on Saturday, the 7 furlong fillies handicap. She's a listed winner from last year. She only runs off 88 though still. Obviously the handicapper didn't take a strong view of that. She was bought back at 220 grand at the mare sale at the end of last year, still in training with Dave Mernan. Really good run the first day in the Curragh, but you do have to forgive her run the last day in Cork. But I think there's a little bit of juice in her mark off 88, so she's my nap of the day. And then my each way selection made the case for her early on. I think Venetian Lace, if you can forgive her poor run on soft ground in the Epsom Oaks, I think nice ground around the Curragh, 10 furlongs could suit her well. And I'm going to back her to get in the money in the Pretty Polly on Saturday.
5-1 for the nap in that 245 Aviatrice in what does look a really competitive race. 11-1 for Venetian Lace. Jason Hart taking the trip over there as well. Could be a bit of a squeak each way, but yeah, 11-1 currently the price.
I'll have a bit of that.
Paddy, over to you.
A horse I talked up already on the podcast, Purview, Dermot Wells. I think this is a Group 1 horse, and he's running in a Group 3. Very impressed with him the last day, winning over 1.5 miles, back down a little bit of trip, should be no problem to him. He's my nap, and my each way horse is a horse called the Piper's Call for Danny McLaughlin that runs in the 505 tomorrow. Handicap debut, rated 82. Has some very strong form early in his career. Got off the mark in his maiden in the Curragh. Danny's horses weren't flying at the time. He's having a bit more luck now. Horses are running well, so looks like a horse that could be ahead of the handicapper.
Yeah, a couple there that, as we speak, aren't priced up. But when I was on the blower to the traders a little bit earlier, they were firmly of the view that Purview looks to be a horse well on the way to winning very high quality group races. So wouldn't be shocked to see that one towards the head of affairs in what does look a decent renewal of that race.
Be shocked if Purview isn't favourite. He's looking like a very good horse. Okay, my 2, you won't have a price on Alpha yet, Alex, right? She's in the first race on Sunday. It's a maiden that Aidan's won for the last 4 years. And I think you're going to put her up as an odds-on favourite, but you're going to give on the William Hill app at least 2-1. About Alpha, I think she was an eye catcher on her debut. Out of Alpha Centauri, it's pretty obvious. My each way selection is in the 245 tomorrow. It's the fillies handicap. I like Bint Majestic Wa against Aviatrice that Emmett's already aforementioned. I don't think she was suited by conditions at Cork last time. I think if they get a little bit of rain, it'll help her. And she's a filly on the improve for the Slatteries. And I think Bint Majestic Wa would be one for me at each way prices.
11-1 currently, drawn in stall 1, looking to bounce back. That does look a hot little race, to be honest. plenty of there arriving in decent nick. But yeah, 11's currently the price for Bint Majestic Raw, taking on Eviatrice, who's 5-1. Second in, and you're right, no prices currently for the Aidan filly, but you'd be disappointed. Now you mentioned his record in that race. Whatever wins that, you'd expect to be pretty good going forward, wouldn't you?
Okay, so before I let you go, Alex, give me your winner of the Irish Derby.
I think Raaheeb will win the Irish Derby. I'm not convinced by any of Aidan's. That's so dangerous to say, isn't it? But I can't draw a line through them, but I don't want to take too short a price. The one that's been backed, by the way, in that race, early doors, Action, which I can't see myself, that's 50s into 20s. So clearly 1 or 2 just trying to take a bit of each way value there.
If Action wins the Irish Derby, there will be silence around the Curragh. Thank you very much, Alex. See you next time. Now we move on to our mystery horse section. This is personally my favourite segment of the podcast, and the boys hate it because I know the answer and they don't. They have 10 questions to ask me. If they get a yes, they hold control of the game. If they get a no, they concede control to the opposite player. 10 guesses to try and get the identity of a previous Irish Derby winner. Emmett, you're up.
Ooh, okay. Is it Aidan O'Brien trained?
I thought you were going to say, is it such and such a horse? No, it's not trained by Aidan O'Brien. Over to Paddy.
Paddy, have a rattle at that.
Was it trained by John Gosden?
Nope.
Was it an Irish Derby before 2015?
No.
Was it trained by
Paddy.
Joseph O'Brien?
No.
Go Oilers.
Do you know something? Harzand.
No.
Ah!
Oh.
There, I want to say yes to something.
Irish owned horse?
Nope.
Jesus.
That's 6.
Have you?
We're up
Have
to
you?
6.
You
Have
have it?
you?
Go on.
Hurricane Lane.
It's Hurricane Lane.
Well done.
I thought you were going to say Westover. But no, it's Hurricane
That
Lane.
was where I was going with it, was Westover.
Oh, that was too easy. Damn.
Well done, Emmett. Look,
Well done,
flat
Emmett.
jockey,
I'd actually forgotten about
Derby
Westover.
winner.
Well, like when you rule out all the Ballydoyle winners in the since 2015, it narrowed it down to like 2, 3.
You made it too easy. You made it too easy for us at the start anyway when you told us it was an Irish Derby winner.
Well, it's
Yeah.
Irish Derby weekend. Come on, and I'm hardly going to pick a maiden winner.
You should have made us get at least 4 questions out of the way before you let us know it was an Irish Derby winner.
We'd have been here for another hour.
You need to be more
lads.
ruthless, Jade. You need to be more
You
ruthless.
just wait until it's Galway week, and you have to try and figure out which one I'm picking for that. Okay, guys, you're unbeaten 3 in a row. So all of the listeners who are after leaving suggestions or wish to leave suggestions, I implore you to make them more difficult next time. I actually thought Hurricane Lane was a good suggestion, but the guys are more clever than maybe we give them credit for. So next time we're putting in a mystery horse suggestion, let's make it a bloody hard one. Let's make it a humdinger. Okay, I think that's us in a nutshell. I think that's us wrapped. I'm going to go walk into a cold shower and then feed myself on Twisters and 99s. I wish you both a fantastic weekend, and everybody who's listening, if you're getting involved, do enjoy it. Hopefully it doesn't rain. So that's it from us, from Emmett, from Paddy, from myself. I hope you have a great weekend. If you don't already follow us on all of the social channels, X, Facebook, YouTube, please do subscribe and make sure to leave us a comment if you have any views on the podcast, or indeed if you want to give us a mystery horse for next time. As always, for all of the very best prices, make sure you've downloaded the William Hill app. Please gamble responsibly, 18+, and we'll see you next time.